Into a brand new show here, Sports Untapped. Stephen Ace, Mitchy Poppy, Mitchy Baby. We are a brand new show here. Checking out Boston sports primarily. We will touch on anything around the professional sports landscape, college. We'll dip into it all. We'll touch on hot topics. We're going to be doing this show every Tuesday, but you can check into the show on a regular basis as new content comes out. We are going to be checking in during the week. If there's something we want to hit on, something we didn't touch on in the show, something we didn't tap into, if you will, we'd love for you to engage with the program as we start to build this up. You like, subscribe, hit the bell icon that notifies you when new content drops, and leave a comment. We would appreciate that. We'd love that. We'd like to hear from you. We will be doing some live streaming at some point, Mitchell.
Yep.
Mitchie. If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, we will be doing live stream. We will be adding to this.
Mhm.
But it is going to be a lot of Boston sports, both of us working in sports talk radio here in the Boston area. So that is our forte. That is where a lot of our knowledge comes from. But Mitchie, any background on yourself here? I've been working in the industry myself for about 10 years now, a little bit over
Mhm.
10 years now. Grew up in the area and just really a passion of mine. And we started getting together, talking sports years ago now
7.
at the radio station, and finally decided to carry this over into a live stream and a YouTube channel. And we hope that you enjoy it. Mitch, anything that you want to touch on here early on?
Yeah. Just like you, grew up in the area, lived here my whole life, and we've been doing the show for 7 years, live on radio. And we started out doing just one day a week.
Yeah.
One day a week.
Well,
It
we
was.
actually started off doing local high school football,
Yep.
which was for me extremely difficult
Hmm.
because I didn't know the area.
Yep.
I'm from the North Shore in Massachusetts, but I wasn't familiar with the teams and the towns in that area. So that was a stretch for me. You were doing that show prior to me.
Yeah, I did. I did one or two episodes prior to you showing up, and it was we had someone that was there, and if you like, I don't want to say the person's name, but if you know the person, he's like the unofficial mayor. He knows everyone, he knows everything,
Yeah.
and he has a wealth of knowledge that I am very much envious of because of just how he had and say, well, you know that person there, that person is this, and that they're related to this person, and I know them through X, Y, and Z, and you're like, how do you remember that, and how do you know
Well,
that?
even that. I
And it
mean,
was
I remember
absolutely
walking.
insanity.
Yeah, I remember walking in the first day, thinking, "How am I going to pull this off?" I mean, I don't know these towns. I don't know these families. I don't know these kids. And I don't even know the rivalries. So I walked in there the first day,
Yep.
Mitchell. I'll be honest, I was scared bleepless, if you will. I was. I was not. I was
Yeah.
not ready for it. But it flourished into our own show. And again, I think this time of year, Mitchell, we might as well start off with the Patriots. Big season upcoming for them. Mike
Yep.
Vrabel, new coaching staff, all the money spent in free agency. Drake May, his second year. We're 6 days into camp now. And I want to touch on really a big picture question that I think is it hasn't been talked about enough. There's so much made
Mhm.
about Josh McDaniels and how he's going to streamline this offense, make it a little bit more simplistic, how he's going
Mhm.
to develop Drake May, how he works with Drake May, how he brings his skill sets in. But I think it goes back to the big question, which is what is more important to Drake May? Or I should say, who is more important to Drake May? Who's more instrumental to Drake May and his development and his progression here? And if he's able to make that year two leap as is so important for all these young quarterbacks, is it Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator,
Mhm.
working with a staff that he's not all that familiar with, or is it Mike Vrabel? And something that we've talked about, Mitchie, is again, when you look at Brady in his early years, Charlie Weiss was crucial to it, and Brady picked up that system that, the Earhart system, which was not an easy system to learn, and it was a different era of football and Brady's skill sets. All of that putting aside, But really, Bill was the one that got the credit for bringing along Tom Brady,
Mhm.
which is why I believe that in the grand scheme of things, not to downplay Josh's importance, but I think that it's really Mike Vrabel who is going to be more critical to what Drake May is as a player, who he is as a leader, and the overall approach of the offense. Because we know, this is not last year where Gerard Mayo had absolutely no pulse on the offense, had no experience on that side of the football, had Alex Van Pelt, who he had not worked with previously, who was kind of the 12th man interviewed and the last man hired, the last man standing. And Alex Van Pelt was the head coach of the offense. You're not getting that with Mike Vrabel. He's going to come in there and he's going to command the entire team. And he's been very hands on with Drake May here in the early parts of camp, talking with him a lot. And I think that when it comes out, it's going to be more about Mike Vrabel and Drake May. And Drake May taking that next step is ultimately on him. It's ultimately, is he able to learn and grow from what he did last year, clean up some of the mistakes, the turnovers? How much is he able to utilize his legs? But is he still going to be a pass first quarterback? Which I think, Mitchell, I think the mobility in the NFL now for the quarterback position is important. But I think also being a pass first quarterback who's able to work through his progressions before taking off and running is really what is top quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen can take off and run. Patrick Mahomes can take off and run. They're looking to push the ball downfield and scramble to make plays with their legs before actually taking off and running. And I think that ties in again to the durability of Drake May, which I think is another big question. A lot of high hopes for Drake May in his second year, but the durability aspect where he takes a couple of hits last year and, he wasn't concussed, but he was shaken up. And he was concussed once, excuse me. I think he was
Yep.
concussed twice,
Yep.
but he was concussed once. I don't like their backup quarterback situation right now, Mitchell. I don't.
Joshua
Josh
Dobbs.
Dobbs might be he might be a great guy for the room. And as far as working with Drake May and that veteran that's in that quarterback meetings room that can give him tips and pick up stuff. But if you look at Josh Dobbs having to play any serious amount of games, I think the team's in trouble as a whole.
Yeah, like if he has to jump in there for 2 games, I'm okay with that. Like if 2 games he can win you one, lose you one, you're fine. If it's 4 games, you're going 1-3, depending on who you're playing against. And obviously what the other team's situation is. That everyone knows what Josh Dobbs is. He's a guy that he'll have his moments, he'll do some things, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to be able to take over a game and really lead a team to a championship. I think he can go ahead and he can not turn the ball over, be smart with the football, but that's pretty much it. And also the other quarterback we have there, Ben Woldridge.
Yeah.
I always think it's Woodbridge like the wine, but it's Woldridge. And he's out of Louisiana, played for the Raging Cajuns. I'll be honest, I've been watching like some film on him. He's not that impressive.
I
He's
don't think
met
he makes
some.
the team.
I think
I think they carry two quarterbacks and have a quarterback on the practice squad.
I was gonna say practice squad. I don't think active roster. Yeah, he's not gonna stay there. He'll go to the practice squad, and he's gonna get some reps during the preseason for sure. And unless if he wows people, most likely, like you said, probably just gonna be relegated to the practice squad. Um,
So it also brings back, Milton Williams.
mhm,
Not Milton Williams, excuse me, Joe Milton.
yep.
And what he's doing in Dallas. And I think, again, the Patriots traded him out. And the more that you hear about Joe Milton, he was a little bit of a pill, to say the least, right? He took a shot at the Patriots, talking about how Dak is really helping him learn, grow within the
Yep.
offense, would seem to be a shot at the Patriots, at Drake May, probably more so at Jacoby Brissett, who was that veteran in the room last year. We know that he was traded long before the draft, prior to anywhere close to the start of the season, really to get him out of the room, Mitchell. They didn't
Yep.
even want him showing up to practice. They didn't
Yep.
want him around. Uh, I didn't like the look because I felt like it cleared the decks for Drake May, like he couldn't handle the competition that is
Yes.
Joe Milton. but I do think it was to clear out the room. Okay, I don't think Joe Milton's going to turn into any great starting quarterback in this league. But with that being said, you now kind of remove the player that had more upside, and that would have been Joe Milton rather
Agreed.
than Joshua Dobbs. So if Drake May misses any significant amount of time because the offensive line can't protect it, can't hold up, guys can't get open in that wide receiving group. Drake May takes hits that he shouldn't take. He's running now, and they're going to utilize his legs. They worked on that in practice today in some designed running plays for Drake May. I think it calls into question really the handling of the backup quarterback situation.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, when you are building a roster, you always have to plan for the worst. As much as Bill Belichick probably didn't want to think about Tom Brady getting hurt, he always had to think about it. Well, what if Tom does go down? I need a backup. I need someone that's going to keep this team competitive, keep them going. I can't just sit there and say, screw it. And we saw Bill during the 2016 season. Brady was going to be suspended the first 4 games. What did they do? Third round, drafted Jacoby Brissett. They wanted to stay competitive during those first 4 games of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo plays second quarter, week 2 against the Miami Dolphins, hurts his non-throwing shoulder. Jacoby Brissett steps in, they win the game. Jacoby Brissett, week 3, they beat the Houston Texans, and they managed to shut him out 27-0. And following week, Jimmy Garoppolo is supposed to go back out. He doesn't. Jacoby Brissett
Puss.
has to. Yep, exactly. Has to go
Big
back in.
puss.
Big puss. And but Bill, he planned for that. He thought, hey, if Jimmy goes down, who's going to be the next guy? I want to draft someone and make sure we have a guy there.
So I also wonder though, Mitch, does that tie into really how much they use Drake May with his legs and how they're going to really, I think, instill in him during this camp? And you've heard a lot of that. First, keep your eyes downfield. Try to make the plays downfield before you take off running. I think that's as much to groom him as a passer as it is to protect him and to keep him fresh, to keep him in games, knowing how important he is to the success of this offense as a whole. He's looked good in camp. He
Yep.
has gotten better. Pete Traeger on ESPN the other day saying that he came to play and he has definitely taken that step forward. And they're really happy with what they've seen from Drake May. But I also kind of wonder, going back to the Josh McDaniels tie in, which is again, Josh has been a dink and dunk, type of offensive coordinator. Take the profit. That's what they worked on early on in camp. But does that kind of handcuff Drake May's playmaking ability? Do they try to stay away from having him take off and run because there's so much instilling in him to throw the football? And does that get into his in between his ears and kind of change his play style? At North Carolina, he was a guy that could use his legs. He was mobile. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. That's where all the Josh Allen, comparisons come in. Now, I don't see him being that physical being, but I do think that that is kind of the play style of him. He's not a pocket passer. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Mac Jones.
Yep.
So some of what you get with Drake May, some of the benefits of having Drake May, a young athletic quarterback who is able to be mobile, is that aspect of his game. And I think if they kind of take that out of his tool belt, now you're looking at a quarterback who I think has the arm strength. It seems like sometimes he's flicking the ball 50 yards with just a flick of the wrist.
Yep.
But it
He,
takes an element of his game, of his tools, kind of away from him and makes him maybe think a little bit more instead of just reacting.
yeah, I think again with Drake May and Josh McDaniels, I think he plays a more of a vital role in his development than Mike Vrabel, and it's because last year AVP Alex Van Pelt, he taught him the mechanics. The physical mechanics, not the mental mechanics. He was teaching him the footwork, trying to teach him how to really go ahead, hold the ball when he's going ahead and running, hold the ball while he's in the pockets and not get strip sacked, etc. He taught him that stuff. Now, what Josh needs to do, Josh is going to focus more on the mental game. Hey, you see one single high safety, the guy's running a fade on the outside. Where do you want to throw the ball? Oh, I want to throw it here. Okay, we got cover 2. You got your tight end running down the seam. How do you want to hit him? Well, I want to hit him in between the safety and the linebacker. Perfect. He's going to teach him those one-on-one matchups, where to look for in certain coverages, and that's what I think Josh is going to be super vital with that. Vrabel, yeah, I think he's important. It's not to go ahead and be dismissive of what he's going to mean to Drake May, but as far as it goes with Josh McDaniels has to teach him the mental aspect, that he has to teach him how to read the defense, how to attack it, how like looking for certain matchups. Linebacker on a slot receiver, right there, bam, you need to know. You have this running back in, and they have that linebacker who's just known for stopping the run. Once he runs that swing route, throw it to him, get it out of there. He's going to be super vital to help him with that
So
going
I think
forward.
that I'm not taking away that Josh McDaniels is critical. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that, again, your offensive coordinator, especially for a young quarterback who's looking to, unlock some of his tools and stuff that you didn't see last year, take that next jump. Yeah, no, of course they're important. What Ken Dorsey did with Josh Allen was not what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen. Although Allen himself had the tools and made that leap even with Ken Dorsey.
yep,
I go back to, and maybe it's nostalgia with the whole Bill and Tom dynamic there that really catapulted the dynasty. But we don't talk about Charlie Weiss with Tom Brady that much, do we? I mean, we
no,
talk
but
about Tom Brady's success with Josh McDaniels or Bill O'Brien, or was it really the whole Bill and Tom? And really, again, I think Tom had that mindset of, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to do everything that I can.
yes,
But I also think some of that was Bill working hands on with him, having that film session every week, going over things that I think is what kind of catapulted Brady, along with, again, his own mentality and his own,
yes,
prowess to be the best that he could be. But when you talk about the leadership, when you talk about the game planning, seeing the game, the whole game, not just the offensive side of the ball, but understanding the defense, I think more of that came from Bill and being hands on with Brady
hmm,
and having those meetings and being able to work out those things together. And Bill, has the most football knowledge I think any NFL coach has ever had. Okay. I mean, he lost his
yep,
fastball at the end, but as far as understanding the games and the intricacies of the games and every single detail of it, Bill is, to me, the greatest football mind that we've ever seen. And I think that, again, Vrabel isn't Bill, but when we talk about Vrabel and one of his strengths, it's not just connecting, it's not just building a program, it's not just, again, instilling that you have to earn everything every single day. But he also has those things in the back of his mind. He pulled the same stuff in that game against the Patriots that Bill used earlier in the year in letting the clock run out against the Jets, where you remember those ESPN cameras cut to Bill, and Bill's kind of smirking like, yeah, no, I knew the loophole. And then Mike Vrabel does it the very same year to Bill. I think that there are certain
yep,
things that, again, come from a wider perspective that you're talking about leadership. I think that Vrabel's the guy that connects more with players than Josh does. I mean, you go back to Josh's time in not Oakland, in Las Vegas. Guys were lighting up cigars after he was fired. Now, I think that
yep. When they won
Josh,
their first game,
yeah, and again, I like Josh as an offensive coordinator. Okay, I don't think he's the best offensive coordinator in the league. I don't think he's a boy genius, Mitchell. I know that you don't either.
hmm.
You've talked about that
Yep,
he gets too much credit, almost like he killed your cat, and you have a big issue with him. But I do think Josh is a
yep.
good developer of young quarterbacks. But I do
I
wonder
think so too.
the fit here with the system, because a lot of talk here recently has been about how difficult it is to learn the offense, and Kendrick Bourne made comments that he's happy that Josh is back because he knows the offense and he's been with Josh before. Ramondre Stevenson, similar comments. We've heard that Drake May is watching a lot of film of Tom Brady. I just wonder how much of that is to learn the offense or how much of it is to take what Brady did on the field and how he would pick apart teams. But again, the big play aspect, Mitchell, has to be in this offense. So I don't think it can be the same old dink and dunk. Now, they don't have the weapons, the skill position players. Their talent is very thin, although improved, and it's not deep. But you have to be able to move the ball downfield in chunk plays. And again,
Hmm.
I think some of that comes with Drake May's legs. and his ability to stretch the ball downfield. But that also comes with mistakes, which is not typically what we've seen from a Josh McDaniels offense. Death by thousand paper cuts. That's not going to work for Drake May. That's just not who he is as a player. That's not what we've seen from him so far.
Yeah, another thing too, with Josh, I think with like you said with the developing, you look at his track record, and you look how easily he was able to drop a game plan for Jimmy Garoppolo and for Jacoby Brissett during that 4-game span, and really trying to, although it was really just in the red zone, but that team was very depleted in 2020 with Cam Newton. We saw all those different sets of trying to get Cam to run the ball, really on the goal line. They had that play where they pulled the guard. I think it was Shaq Mason at the time. They would pull him out and then have him be a lead blocker, and then whoever the running back was would also lead block for Cam Newton. He would just run outside. It was a very simplistic play. And then they also would put Jakob Johnson in there, and he would just steamroll ahead, and Cam Newton would just find a gap and run through. So
Do you think that we'll see that from Drake May this year?
No.
And the only reason that I bring that up is because the Patriots weren't worried about protecting Cam Newton.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he was the last guy signed. He was at the end of his career. Like, they weren't worried about protecting Cam Newton. I think that there is a whole different mentality and philosophy around Drake May, especially being only in his second year. So what do you want to see from Drake May this year, Mitch? What do you want to see him improve on? Like, what's an area that, for him, watching what he did last year, that you're optimistic that he could take it to the next level this year with a better coaching group and a better, skill position players, hopefully a better offensive line, which I think is very much in question.
Yep. Well, if this is dependent on the offensive line, I want to see him sit in the pocket. We didn't get to see that last year. And if we did, we would see it like some teams you have.
Well, he didn't have any of the time to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of those dropbacks, he's getting rushed so fast that you don't see him being able to go through progressions. Exactly. And they really didn't have a third down back last year. I mean, Antonio Gibson came on later in that season. I thought by far he was the better runner last year, but we didn't see enough from Antonio Gibson in the pass game that I do think we'll see this year. And then, of course, Travion Henderson, who, from everybody at camp, the speed is real. The route running ability is real. And if you want something that Josh has looked at as a key in the past, and Bill especially, where these rookie running backs would almost redshirt for a year, he's not going to. And I think a lot of that is blitz pickup ability. And he's been compared to Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. I think it's going to be, again, we talk about the weapons, and we look so much at the wide receivers, rightfully so, by the way. Travion Henderson can be that kind of gadget player in a sense, where you can get him running in between the tackles, but you can leave him out there on a third down and either as a blitz pickup, which can help out that offensive line. I think we'll see a lot of that early on because I think that the coaching staff is a smart coaching staff, right? The experience, the resume, the track record. This offensive line, Mitch, and we'll get into this more in a different clip, but I don't think they're going to be left out there one-on-one against Max Crosby in week 1. I think Will Campbell's going to get a lot of help. If Morgan Moses is out there, as he should be, I think you're going to see a lot of the tight ends chipping in, a lot of the backs in pass protection. So I think that Travion Henderson, one of his strengths is pass blocking. I think he's going to be out there a decent amount, and I think that's going to open up things as the year progresses for him in the pass game.
Yeah, and one person that I think we also need to look at, also a running back, Lan Larison.
Who?
Lan Larison, undrafted out of UC Davis.
Lan?
Lan.
My man Lan.
Yeah. I think he's another guy that we got to look out for. I watched some tape on him. He looks like Rex Burkhead. And
well, again, if the Patriots can find those guys, the diamonds in the rough, I mean, that's great because they had so much success with that, whether it be Rex Burkhead, whether it be Danny Woodhead,
Shane Vereen.
He
was drafted.
He was a draft pick, James White, who I think that I see from the clips that I've seen. I haven't been at practice, but the shiftiness of Travion Henderson reminds me of James White in some ways.
But he's
Just a
also
guy that can make
huge.
those quick cuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it right here. He is 5'10", 202 pounds. Travion. That's wow. Okay. I mean, Ramondre's 6 foot 227. So I mean, we got a pretty big backfield, and yeah, I'm like Land Larison. I think he can be that third down guy.
Who the hell is Lan Larison? I've never heard the name, Mitch. I've
They
never even heard the guy's name.
they've mentioned him in reports with Chisholm.
I got
I've
another guy who's disappeared in camp.
Yeah, well, I mean, so far in camp he's disappeared, but like early on, him and Land Larison and Chisholm, like why do they have the weirdest names? Like why can't they just be like just something normal, man? But Efton Chisholm, like come on, man.
Yeah, effed on.
Yep,
Effed on, Mitch. Effed on.
that's gonna be a trivia question. Who was the Eastern what is it? Eastern Washington player to sign with the Patriots for 500 points? Who is it? Who is Efton Chisholm the third?
Who is the player that Mitch makes too much about in training camp and doesn't even make the team? Oh, I got it. Lan Larison.
No, I think he reminds me a lot of Burkhead. I could see something where like this is the running back group right here. This is everyone, and I'll go through the list after. Antonio Gibson, Travion Henderson, Terrell Jennings, Lan Larison, Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Williams, and that's it. And then they have a fullback on injured reserve. I can see Antonio Gibson. I think he makes it. Travion Henderson, I think he makes it. Ramondre Stevenson is going to make it. Lan Larison, guarantee he will be on injured reserve, and he will be redshirted.
so we're talking about a guy that you project to be on injured reserve.
Yeah,
That's great, Mitch. That's great.
they're
I'm
going to
sure
do that.
everybody's listening in here tonight, and
Yeah.
we'll replay this
Wait,
podcast
wait.
to hear
Bear with
about
me.
Lan in the
Bear with
injured
me.
reserve list.
Bear with me.
Do you want to do practice squad next?
Bear with me. He will be an injured reserve this year. Antonio Gibson will not be on the team next year. Lan Larison, baby. I'm on the Larison train.
All right. Did everybody get that? So for next year's Patriots, we'll be talking about Lan Larison.
Yes, sirree.
All right. Great, Mitch. Anything else that you want to predict for the future here as people get ready for this season?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I think he's really going to make the roster legitimately, and the reason being is because, like you noted, those third down backs, and I think he offers that out of the backfield. The tape that I watched on him, this guy catches out of the backfield and plays like a Rex Burkhead, who Josh absolutely loved to have on the roster. The Danny Woodhead. They went from Danny Woodhead in 2010, and Josh came back in 2011 to go to that second. Well, during that Super Bowl run, they had Woodhead. They went from him to Shane Vereen to James White to Rex Burkhead. And James White was still there when Rex Burkhead was there, but Burkhead took more of the carries, and James went more third down, and they flexed Burkhead outside, and there was times where he played in the slot as well, and I see that out of him. But for Drake May, I think the most important thing for him is Josh just trying to learn how to keep him in that pocket. Last year was a terrible experience for him, where he was continually running outside of the pocket and having to make a play. This year, I want to see him be able to sit inside the pocket, be able to look down the field, read a defense, and say, "Oh, there's Lan Larison running over the middle of the field on a nice little in route. Hit him there. There's what's his name? There's Mac Hollins, and Mac Hollins a deep threat. He's a tall receiver too, 6'4". Oh, he has one-on-one coverage. I go ahead, 5-step drop, give him a second, throw the ball up for him.
He is fucking jacked. Have you seen him?
Oh yeah. Do you know what he does too? And I learned about this. I did some research on him, and he learned from an Australian doctor. I think it was Australian, that walking barefoot helps strengthen your feet. So it helps you run. It helps you do all this stuff. So he's always barefoot, which I knew about that when he was with Las Vegas, that he always did the barefoot thing, and they were memeing about it. And he was doing it last year in Buffalo too. But yeah, he's a big guy. He's 6'4", big body receiver. As you noted, he is absolutely jacked. And he's had some
He's a
plays
great
when
he's
he
a
was with
great
Josh
blocker
and
too. Great blocker for a wide
yeah,
receiver. Big body.
and with
I think he'll be used in the
Josh in
screen
Vegas, there
game.
was times I threw it up.
Yeah, and I can see him
Yeah, I
being
agree.
used in the screen game and to set up the blocks on the
Hmm.
edges there. Um,
But I want to see those reads from Drake May. Like they put someone like Demario Douglas in motion, and they see the linebacker that's one on one with the linebacker. I got to hit him quickly. I got to get the ball there to Demario once he makes that break. I want to see those type of reads. I want him to say, "Oh my God, Jalen Polk's on the field," said no one ever. So let me throw it to Kyle Williams. I want to see those type of reads.
no, and I agree. And
And
I think
yeah,
that we've heard Vrabel talk about how important it is for Drake May to improve keeping his eyes downfield, even while he's scrambling around in the pocket, which again, when we talk about the mobility and I'm not comparing these two at all, but some of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes is the arm talent, the ability to move outside the pocket, but to keep his eyes downfield to make that play instead of taking off and
yep.
running. That's more in line with what I would like to see from Drake May, with the ability at times to take off but protect himself. Because I do think the durability is a big question mark about Drake May. We haven't seen him play a 17 game schedule yet. We haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
how that body holds up when they're actually calling quarterback run, designed run plays, if they even do that, and how much of that early on.
I don't I
I
don't
I'll
think they
see it
do
for
that.
sometimes, but again, I don't want that to be the offense. By the way, I think if you're going to win, it's in the passing game.
I
And
agree.
again, having a quarterback that can take off and turn those 3rd and 8s into first down conversions while protecting themselves, getting out of bounds, getting down, that's important for an offense, especially one like this where you have a porous offensive line, at least to this point,
Yeah,
and you have a wide receiving
we
core
haven't
that
seen
outside
yet.
of Stephon Diggs is not proven to be anything in the league. And again, Stephon Diggs, is he going to hold up? I mean, first year back from an ACL tear, 9 months removed. He's looked great. He looks terrific. He's not in games right now. These are practice reps and pass drills. Like this is not getting hit. They just put on the pads.
Hmm.
So I think that the mobility is important for Drake May, but the durability is really what I question. And that's not even to get into the whole Josh McDaniels and being able to tailor an offense to Drake May's skill sets and dumb things down and make it easy for guys to pick up. Because Josh McDaniels' offense in the past has been a lot on the quarterback, whether it be Tom Brady or Mac Jones. It's a lot on the quarterback pre snap to get guys lined up, to call out that Mike linebacker, to call the audibles. Uh, And that's something that I think Drake May didn't really have a whole lot of last year. It was a very simplistic offense. They didn't open it up for him. And Mac Jones' rookie year, Mitchell,
Hmm.
um, again, they kind of handcuffed Mac Jones
Yep.
early on.
I was very critical
W-
about that.
Yeah,
I
I mean, they
I
really didn't allow him to open it up. It was play it safe, play it safe, play it safe. I think that they have to allow the kid to make some mistakes
I
because
agree.
I do think that the mistakes is how you grow. And especially when you have an offensive line that is upgraded from last year, but still kind of thrown together, a new coaching staff, learning a new system. Because again, a lot of these guys haven't worked with Josh, a wide receiver group that is either new and rookies and Kyle Williams. If Eftham Chisholm makes the team, Stephon Diggs new to the system, although he worked with Josh's brother in Houston. Um, you look at Mac Hollins, new. Demario Douglas was not around for Josh the first go around. Kayshawn Booty, if he makes the team, he was not around. I mean, you go on down the list. Outside of Kendrick Bourne, not a lot of guys who played with in this in Josh's system.
Yeah, it's really just Hunter Henry and him. I mean, Mac Hollins like in Vegas, yeah, but that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Ramondre was here. Um,
Yep, Ramondre was. Yep.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, and I'm looking at the schedule right here, and the preseason it's Washington, Minnesota, the Giants. Okay, that's whatever, but like we said, let him air it out. I'm looking at the Raiders. They just signed Jamal Adams to a contract. They're moving him to linebacker, and there's no one really notable in that secondary. There's no one there. Miami Dolphins, they just traded away Jalen Ramsey,
Good point.
the guy that they had to replace Jalen Ramsey tears his ACL from the Seahawks. His name eludes me right now. Let him throw it. Let him just send it. I know that they have they have some other guys there, but they just lost Jalen Ramsey, a number one corner. He might not be at the top of his game like he once was, but throw it out. Like, let him throw. Pittsburgh Steelers, Patriots tend to do good against this team no matter tend to do well against this team no matter what. I let him cook. Rodgers doesn't scare me. I don't see anyone on that defense that really. I know Jalen's there. I just said that he got traded there, but
So we could go
that's
through
it.
the schedule because
Yeah.
I do want to do a prediction with the schedule.
Mhm.
I know that we did that on radio. I think we might as well do it here.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, the early part of the schedule is critical for this team.
Yep.
I mean, you got 3 home games in the first 4 weeks. You have a very easy schedule early on. They have to be able to take advantage of some of these teams that are winnable games. And again, Vegas has their over/under set at 8.5. Okay, so there's a little bit more juice, I believe, on the under. I think that they're an 8 to 9 win team. I've said 7 to 9. If you want to, tighten it up, 8 to 9, and we'll pick out those games for you. But I do think that the early going is important for them to make some money and win some games here, if you will. Again, they haven't been able to win at home. They haven't been able to beat bad football teams because they've been beating themselves. A lot of this comes back to Vrabel instilling again, you can't win until you stop, beating yourself. But we'll see with Drake May. I mean, we'll see. I'm optimistic about him, Mitchell.
Hmm.
But I will add this too. He's had a good camp. Okay, he's looked like he has put in the work in the offseason. He gathered the guys in North Carolina. He got them all together. He does seem to have a hold of that team. And again, coming in year 2, knowing you're the guy, I think last year it wasn't instilled in him enough to take that leadership step, to have that voice in the locker room over not just the offense, the entire team, because it was basically outlined from day one that this is Jacoby Brissett's team. And the competition that they sold us, we knew it wasn't an actual competition because
Hmm.
Drake May played better in training camp and into the preseason than Jacoby Brissett did. Yet he wasn't starting week 1 in
Yeah. No, I mean,
Cincinnati. Well, that kind of gives him that clear runway to take off. I will say this, though. The numbers that we're going to see from camp reported out now, okay, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant on days that I hear the offense was really good in the pass game against this defense until Christian Gonzalez gets back on the field or Carlton Davis gets back on the field. Because how much of those numbers are going to be inflated? I thought
mhm.
one of the pros for Drake May, something that was working in his favor,
Was
was
having
that
to
he
play
was
against
going
those
up
guys.
against a really good secondary
Hmm.
with 2 guys in Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, and then Marcus Jones kind of slotted into that slot position, that nickel corner, that I thought was going to be something that worked in his favor. Again, going up against a really good secondary. Well, Carlton Davis has missed a lot of time here to start. He's been out at 2 practices. So he's working on something, rehabbing back. Christian Gonzalez goes off the other day with an apparent leg injury. Could call right from the beginning, Mitchell. It was a hamstring.
Yep.
Today, per Jordan Schultz, he tweeted out sources: Patriots All-Pro cornerback Christian Gonzalez suffered a hamstring injury during Monday's practice that will sideline him for a bit, but I'm told it will not impact his Week 1 availability. You know what scares me about that?
They're rushing him.
Week 1, it's July 29th. We're talking about his availability for Week 1. So when does he get? So it's
So
it's
this
not
is
going to
this.
impact him for Week 1. Well, what about some of the rest of the training camp and preseason?
This is what I'll say.
And I will follow it up with this just to give you extra context, Mitch, because I saw this just before we came on. Tom Curran says that the indications that he's gotten, they're waiting and seeing. The hope, not the expectation, but the hope, of course, is that it's day to day and not week to week. So again, hamstrings linger. They linger.
They do.
And Drake May's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Now, that doesn't mean I rush Christian Gonzalez back or I rush out Carlton Davis because I don't want them working against Marcus Jones and Alex Austin.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we'll get into the secondary of the defense in one of these episodes here, one of these podcasts. But small C concerned about that. Small C concerned about that.
So what I would add to this is I think the reason why they say week 1 is because Christian Gonzalez, you know what he is already. He's going into his 3rd year. I don't think he was going to play preseason.
No,
And
I
if
don't
he
need him to
did-
play preseason, but I
Yeah.
like him to take part in some of the joint practices.
Yes. Okay.
And in some of these periods early on, again, working with the secondary
Mhm.
that had a lot of breakdowns last year, and the communication wasn't great.
Mhm.
And I would like to see that kind of work together. Is it imperative that he's out there in July? No. Do I want them to rush him back out there? No. Am I ringing the alarm bells right now that he's
Nope.
going to miss some time? No. But when I hear Jordan Schultz or I read Jordan Schultz say it's not going to impact week 1, well, what does that mean? That he's
Yeah.
not back out there for the rest of camp? I don't need him playing in preseason games. No, save that. I don't need that.
I agree.
But he's not out there to practice. And again, those soft tissue injuries, he put
At
on
least-
some size. He looked like he was in shape. But those are preventable. They're preventable, and you see them every year in the NFL. Those are things that does come down to taking care of your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think again with him, those soft tissue damage sometimes it leads to something bigger.
Yep.
Like maybe tearing something,
like the calf with the
pulling.
Achilles.
Yep, and that's where you get a little worrisome. But obviously hoping for the best. Like to see him get back out there. Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But I think he is. We know what he is when he's healthy. He's one of the best corners in the league. I think he's a top 5 or top 3 guy. You can make a case for him. I think it's him, Patrick Surtain. I think they pretty much are fighting for that number 1 spot. This is just devastating because, like you noted, Drake May, this would be perfect for him. Brady would always say the best thing about like the defense is that he would go having a great defense.
Go up against Rodney. Go up against Vrabel in practice. Yep. I mean, working against these guys.
That helped him early on.
Right.
And to be able to see, the different coverages and Vrabel going ahead and not reacting a certain way, like, oh, Vrabel, they're not going to do that. Well, Tom, how do you know that? And then Brady like getting into arguments with him. But I mean, you look at the career he had, maybe, that helped him in the long run. So yeah, him out there, but don't rush this. That's one thing that I'm worried about too. If you feel like week 1 against the Raiders, you can't beat them because you don't have Christian Gonzalez, then you're not a good football team. If he needs to wait until week 3 against the Panthers, I'm just throwing a random game out there.
Yep.
You let it get to 100%. Again, if you can't beat Raiders and the Steelers week 1, week 2 without Christian Gonzalez, your number 1 corner, with all the money that you spent.
Well,
I
do think Miami. I do think Miami is a game they need Christian Gonzalez out there for. I know that
week 2. My bad.
I know that Waddle took a step back last year. Tyreek Hill. I know that Miami right now, as an organization under Mike McDaniel, is about to fall apart. I think that they're going to take a step back this year, and they took a step back last year from the previous year. But again, week 2 down in Miami, I can tell you from someone who is second home is Florida, and my father lives down there, and my family has lived down there in South Florida, that that is a difficult climate to play. And we know that as Patriots fans, where they've gone down there and got their asses kicked basically every year, even under Belichick and Brady. So, and I look at that
Yep.
offense and I say, do I expect them to be able to uplift that team in Miami? No, I don't. Tua, I don't wish anything ill upon him, but I do think he's an injury waiting to happen. I hope it doesn't happen because I don't wish ill upon the guy. But you look at
Mhm.
Waddle, Devon A. Chain, you look at what they have there with Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's still an offense that can put
Trading
up
for Darren
points.
Waller.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see what you get. He unretired. So we'll see what you get from Darren Waller. This isn't the same Darren Waller as, he was all those years ago in Vegas or with the Raiders.
Dropping freestyles in the locker room.
But you talk about big plays. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot he was a rapper. Another athlete who was a stellar rapper. Music career that just flourished.
Made
So
that terrible song after Kelsey Plum dumped him.
they all think that they're rappers. The athletes want to be rappers, the rappers want to be athletes. Like but anyways, I do think again, you look at a strength of this team, you look at week 2 on that schedule in Miami. No, I mean you need to have guys ready. And I think the
Yep.
conditioning too is something that you have to watch here. I know that Mike Vrabel got on Will Campbell yesterday because he was kind of, down on one knee. And it was hot out there yesterday, not like today where it's 96 degrees at 7 o'clock at night. But he's saying,
Mhm.
didn't you go to LSU? Didn't you grow up in the South? So uh, Mitchell, I think such a big part of this is the defense, and I think the an underrated storyline from the early part here at camp, and even going back to the offseason is okay. Vrabel's there, Terrell Williams is there. You feel better about what they're going to have, from the coaching standpoint. And, Milton Williams, a big offseason signing. You get Barmore back, Keon White. Hopefully they're able to unlock him. They bring in Robert Spillane. You have hopefully a full year and a healthy Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers and Christian Gonzalez. They signed Carlton Davis. And Mitchell, the Carlton Davis thing kind of concerns me a little bit. Guy's barely been on the practice field early on, side a big deal. Wasn't there in OTAs because he was way on vacation jet skiing.
Yep.
The defense plays such a role here if you're able to win low scoring games. And I do think that, the Patriots are going to be looking at, they scored 17 points a game last year.
Yeah, they want to definitely
So you,
up
you,
those numbers.
yeah, so you should up those numbers into the 20s. But I still think that this offense, given what they have, even if Drake May is able to take that leap, they're still going to be scoring in the low 20s. So you're going to have to hold teams in the teens to low 20s yourself. And again, favored in 11 games. They were favored in none last year.
Hmm.
Over under set at 8.5. A lot of that is the expectations of this defense.
I don't. I, I think Carlton Davis. I'm okay with that because when I look at what he's at, I mean I understand. Like if he's dealing with something, I think he's a veteran guy that's been around long enough that he knows what's up. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the league since 2018. He was with Tampa, went to Detroit, and now he's with the Patriots. He's been around for a while. If he needs some time to get his body right and to get himself, the appropriate time to rest, I trust him in that. Like if he says, "Listen, my knee is fine" or "My hamstring is fine," I'm
So
okay with
can I
that.
can I just say this though?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and I fully agree with if he needs time, he's working back from something. There's no need to push him this early in camp.
Mm.
But with Fun Dip Diggs, which is what I call him, Mr. Pink Powder on the boat, we talked about again where were his priorities, how important was football to him. Those were fair questions. Away from the team,
Hmm.
rehabbing on your own, putting the work in on Instagram. Okay, which is all terrific. But we had questions about him till he showed up, wasn't on the pup list, has
Yep.
been a full participant, and looked good when he was in the building. Carlton Davis wasn't there in the offseason, from anything that I had heard. He wasn't there for OTAs. He was on vacation. And he hasn't practiced other than basic walkthroughs. What is his priority right now? He got a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
Big free agent signing. Again, I just kind of question that until I see things play out. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have the right mentality. He's not going to be a good fit. He's a bust, overly concerned about him not being out there. But reacting to what I've seen from him so far, I mean, even when he was introduced in his introducer presser, he sat down to take questions and he said, "What? No applause?" Like, what do you mean, no applause?
I remember that.
We're supposed to just clap for you because you walked in the room? So there are certain things that I kind of start to put together to say, where is this guy at? Is he the constant guy that needs like a pat on the back? You're awesome. You're
Mhm.
terrific. Like, is he bought in? And I think he will be. I do, by the way. But I wouldn't say he's off to a start that instills any real confidence about that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. But with Carlton Davis, though, what I would say is he doesn't come with the baggage that
Oh, I
um,
agree.
Stephon Diggs comes with. That last year in Buffalo and his last year in Minnesota, I think a lot of people look at that and they think like, who are we getting with this guy? And he did good with what's the name with the Texans. They raved about him, but they didn't bring him back. Why didn't they bring him back? If everything was so good, why didn't you bring him back? Because you have one guy who's gone for the whole season. You have not quarterback, a receiver that's coming back that worked with him last year, worked really well with him. You could have drafted those two rookies that you got and have them be the third and fourth guy while Diggs took over the number two spot, and they could have developed behind him. Was it the money or was it something else?
Yep.
So I mean, that was another thing that was weird. Maybe it was because they felt as though. I mean, I'll play devil's advocate here. Maybe they felt as though they signed him to a long term contract and they wouldn't be able to trade him for a good something that they saw as a fit price after a year when they developed the guys that they drafted. Or maybe it's just there was some,
Tank Dell's coming back from an injury too.
Yep.
Okay, Tank Dell's coming back from an injury. Nico Collins is the real deal.
Yeah.
They blew out the offensive coordinator there, Bobby Slowick.
Yeah. And they
D'Amico
brought.
Ryans is still there. Nick
Mhm.
Casario, the ties to the Patriots, GM, still there. It is kind of questionable. Like, there weren't any real offers to keep Stephon Diggs. I don't know that Houston made an offer. I don't know that they didn't.
Yeah.
But I know that there weren't any other teams knocking down the door for Steph Diggs except the Patriots because they struck out on Godwin. T. Higgins never made it to the market. Um, I feel okay right now. I think one of the biggest positives from camp is that Stephon Diggs showed up and was ready to go and wasn't on pup.
Hmm.
Which means he passed his physical, which means the team is okay with anything that happened on that boat moving forward, that there were no distractions for 5 weeks after he left mandatory minicamp, that he stayed in line, and that, again, it seems like he's been a good influence on the guys in that room. He's by far the best receiver the Patriots have, the best option. And I
Hmm.
think to have these reps with Drake May in the early part of training camp is critical for the offense as a whole because it makes you feel a little bit better about slotting in some of these receivers. And Kyle Williams has looked pretty good through camp. Now he's had a couple of drops, which has been an issue for him going back to college. But the speed aspect that Patriots unit just doesn't have, Kyle Williams does have. Travion Henderson does have.
Hmm.
But, you do wonder a little bit about Diggs. I've always said this is a wait and see approach. How do we feel today? He hasn't been an issue in year one with a new team. So I didn't expect him to act out, but I also didn't expect him to be caught with a pink bag of drugs on a party boat.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. We'll say allegedly. Okay. It was a pink bag. It was a pink substance of some sort.
It
You
was
know,
Himalayan salt.
call me Big Daddy. Okay. Call me Big Daddy. Don't take all of that. I don't think he was talking about Fun Dip. I don't. Okay. Save me some of that candy.
He was teaching
With
them.
bikini clad women on a boat in Miami. Okay. We all know the history of Miami.
He was giving them cooking tips with pink Himalayan salt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Save some of that. I want to put it on my fries. So, but that was one of my positives. That Diggs is, again, stayed in line. The team was okay. All the conversation about, failing him on the physical and moving him off, has kind of subsided. That seems like a non-talking point. And it really has been all about football, which is one of the positives for this team, Mitchell. How many years have we come in here and had outside distractions, whether it be the coaching staff with thing one and thing two, and Joe Judge uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt Patricia, or contract disputes, Matthew Judon sitting on the trash can last year and then walking off at practice. I
Yep.
mean, there's been something it feels like every year that's been a distraction, non-football related. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like we have that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it does feel like everything is kind of rolling in the right direction and guys are bought in,
Thankfully.
and there isn't any disgruntled guys around the building. Mitchell, anything else that you want to get to here? I mean, we are almost an hour in, and
Yeah.
I'm excited though about this, Mitch. I
Yeah.
am. I'm excited about this. I feel like we have so many different topics that we've hit on the radio, but we
Mm-hmm.
haven't done here. And this was just an introduction,
Yep.
just an idea of what we're going to start to tap into.
Mm-hmm.
Again, our focus is on Boston, but that doesn't mean that we're blinded to Boston. And I know Mitchell likes some of the juicy stuff between Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick. He's already getting excited as I bring it up.
Yeah.
Uh, and we'll,
Jordan, I don't hate you, girl.
we will do it all though. Football. We'll do the Patriots talk. We'll do the Red Sox talk. Trade deadline just a couple of days away. We got the Celtics and the retooling of the offseason. We have the Bruins under Marco Sturm, a new generation, let's say, for the Bees, and just other thoughts from around the league. So we got a lot to get to, Mitch. We got a lot to get to, but I think that this was
Mm-hmm.
a solid start for us.
Absolutely.
All right.
And it's up from here.
It is only up from here. And we'll only get more accustomed to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is so much different than the radio side of things, where we're kind of constrained with breaks and the clock and all of that stuff. We don't have that here, so we can kind of let it fly
Yep.
a little bit. And I feel like we'll both open
Exactly.
up a little bit more. So again, Sports
Mm-hmm.
Untapped, Stephen Ace, Mitchie Poppy. If I feel more and more comfortable with you people, I'll give you out my real name. I think that, Mitch. I think the way that this episode has gone, I'll feel more comfortable giving out my real name. Knowing that you're not just gonna fly off at the handle and say something that I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get tagged in makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in presenting my real name and opening up to the public. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll do that. Sports Untapped again every Tuesday, but that won't stop us from checking in during the weeks. If there's stuff that we want to hit on, breaking stories, anything that just, grabs our attention, our interest, engage with the program, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon below, which notifies you of new content. Leave a comment. You like what we did? You don't like what we did? You want to hear us discuss X, Y, and Z? You want to call us names? I don't care. Mitchie doesn't care. That is Untapped for now. Mitch, anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, pretty much we hit everything. Hit the nail on the head with that. Again, I'll just reiterate. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get all those notifications for anything that we post, whether it's shorts, long video, form content, or videos. And comment down below if there's opinion about, if you want to ask us, to cover something, or if you disagree with us. We're always up for a good debate.
I like good
Go
debate.
ahead and
I
let us
like
know
good
how you
debate.
really feel. Mm-hmm.
Untapped,
So
Sports
yeah.
Untapped. Thanks for checking it out. We'll be back next week. And stay tuned for more content.